Imagine a world where Baghdad wasn't just a place you heard about on the news, but the place to be the Paris, the Silicon Valley, the Harvard of its day. From the 8th century onward, the Middle East burst into a dazzling era of prosperity and intellectual bloom, now immortalized as the Golden Age of Islam. It was a time when scholars didn't just dream of ideas, they packed their bags, rode their camels, and migrated to Baghdad, eager to sip knowledge like it was the finest wine. But as any gripping story demands, a dark twist lurked around the corner. Baghdad, the city that sparked a renaissance. In the early days of the Golden Age, Baghdad wasn't just another city, it was the crown jewel of civilization. Founded during the 8th century under the Abbasid Caliphate, this city quickly became a bustling metropolis of over 1 million people. Yes, 1 million back when other cities were lucky to scrape together a decent village square. Everywhere you turned, libraries overflowed with manuscripts, scholars debated fiercely, and innovation buzzed in the air. The star attraction? The legendary Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom. Think of it as a super library combined with a research center, minus the slightly judgmental librarians. Artists, mathematicians, doctors, poets, you name it, found patronage under the Abbasid rulers. Baghdad wasn't just surviving, it was thriving, riding a tidal wave of intellectual fervor that touched everything from astronomy to medicine to literature. With rulers sponsoring knowledge seekers like a reality TV show with no eliminations, Baghdad seemed invincible, or so they thought. Enter the Abbasids. The Abbasids had a pretty good origin story themselves. Taking the torch from the Umayyad Caliphate in the 8th century, they expanded their empire across Arabia, the Levant, North Africa, Iraq, and beyond. Named after Abbas, an uncle of Prophet Muhammad, they ruled with charisma and military prowess. For a time, their empire was the medieval equivalent of having the best Wi-Fi, best coffee shops, and best universities all rolled into one. But empires, much like expired yogurt, have a way of going bad when left unchecked for too long. By the 13th century, cracks had started to show in the mighty Abbasid structure. Their political influence weakened, their armies weren't exactly winning medals anymore, and whispers of Mongol power on the horizon were growing louder. Yet despite every sign flashing, danger ahead, in bright neon lights, Baghdad stayed blissfully unaware. The Mongols. If you think today's tourists can be rude, you haven't met the 13th century Mongols. These folks didn't just visit, they conquered, and they didn't ask for a TripAdvisor review after. Nomadic, pastoral, and seemingly allergic to settling down, the Mongols clashed regularly with sedentary empires like the Abbasids. Their battle tactics were brutal, efficient, and frankly terrifying. Heard some pots and pans clanging or bells ringing in the distance? Congratulations. You had roughly 15 minutes to pack your bags before the Mongols turned your town into a memory. They usually offered surrender first. How polite. But if you refused, your city's before and after photos would be used as cautionary tales for centuries. The true mastermind behind the Mongol juggernaut was Genghis Khan. But when his grandson, Hulagu Khan, took the reins, things really went nuclear. Hulagu was on a mission to carve out his own empire across the Middle East, and Baghdad was a juicy target. The fatal underestimation of Caliph al-Mustasim. At the time of Hulagu's advance, Baghdad's ruler was Caliph al-Mustasim, a man so chill he could have taught classes in underreacting. Despite the fact that Mongols were swallowing empires like popcorn, al-Mustasim didn't exactly jump to action. In part, he trusted his Grand Vizier, a man who, rumor has it, had his own beef with the Caliph. Thanks to some poor leadership decisions, like offending the local Shia population, never a great idea when you're supposed to be the leader of all Muslims, the vizier allegedly welcomed the Mongol invasion like an evil maître d'. Was it betrayal? Was it incompetence? Historians debate. What's certain is that al-Mustasim missed some very obvious warning signs. When Hulagu sent a courteous surrender or suffer letter, al-Mustasim reportedly sent back a bring it on note, certain the rest of the Islamic world would rush to Baghdad's defense. They didn't. The Siege of Baghdad. On January 29, 1258, the Mongols surrounded Baghdad like a pack of wolves around a deer who still thinks it can make a run for it. Baghdad's defenders were outnumbered, undersupplied, and frankly out of luck. Caliph al-Mustasim realizing his confidence plan was falling apart, tried to open peace negotiations. Hulagu, now in no-mercy mode, ignored him. The siege intensified. After a couple of harrowing weeks, al-Mustasim surrendered unconditionally on February 10th. The city held its breath. For 3 eerie days, the Mongols did nothing. Then on February 13th, all hell broke loose. The horror of the fall. As Hulagu's forces stormed into Baghdad, they spared only one group, the Nestorian Christians. Why? Because Hulagu's mother and favorite wife were Nestorian, proving once again that when it comes to invasions, it's not what you know, but who you know. Everyone else, not so lucky. For 7 nightmare-filled days, Baghdad was pillaged and slaughtered. An estimated 90,000 to 1 million souls, soldiers, scholars, children, lost their lives. Noblemen were rounded up and executed, libraries were looted, and homes torched. As for Caliph al-Mustasim, his fate is a tragic legend unto itself. One account says he was locked in a room filled with his treasures, told by Hulagu to eat of thy treasure, and eventually starved. Another, more colorful version claims Hulagu, superstitious about royal blood cursing the soil, had him rolled into a carpet and trampled to death. Either way, it was the grim end of the last ruler of the Islamic Golden Age, a city drowned in blood and ink. If the massacre wasn't apocalyptic enough, the Mongols then began throwing Baghdad's precious books into the river Tigris. Witnesses said the river first ran red with blood, then black with ink as centuries of knowledge, art, medicine, astronomy, and literature were washed away in a thick, dark stream of lost wisdom. The House of Wisdom, the marvel of the age, was reduced to ashes and soggy parchment. Humanity didn't just lose a city, it lost irreplaceable treasures of thought and progress. The fallout, more than just a regional tragedy. The sacking of Baghdad wasn't just the collapse of a city or even an empire, it was a shattering blow to the world's intellectual advancement. The momentum of the Islamic Golden Age, which had illuminated Europe, Africa, and Asia, ground to a painful halt. The world lost untold medical treatises, scientific theories, historical accounts, literary works, and philosophical insights. The Renaissance that would later lift Europe could have dawned centuries earlier, but much of the foundation was drowned or burned in Baghdad's final moments. Today, the memory of Baghdad's Golden Age lives on, but too few remember the price the world paid for its loss. Echoes from a forgotten era. The fall of Baghdad in 1258 is a tragedy so vast it defies easy comprehension. It was the extinguishing of a world-leading light, a place where faith, science, and curiosity once walked hand in hand under glittering city lights. We often remember empires that fell with battles and betrayals, but Baghdad reminds us, sometimes what is lost isn't just land or kings, it's humanity's collective memory, its progress, its potential. Maybe next time you walk into a library, take a second to appreciate that quiet hum of knowledge. Somewhere, a river once ran black because so many books went unread. And let's be honest, Baghdad's story teaches us something else too. Never underestimate the Mongols, and always listen carefully when someone offers you a chance to surrender. And there you have it. If you enjoyed diving into history's jaw-dropping moments with me, smash that like and subscribe. Drop a comment below and let me know. If you could visit one ancient city at its peak, where would you go? Thanks for hanging out. Until next time, stay curious, stay awesome, and remember, history isn't just old news. It's the greatest drama ever written.